There's no routine, but we kind of get like 30 seconds of individual posing. So I think I might hit some shit like, I'll figure it out.
And so you see how he says, I think I'm going to hit these poses. I think I'll figure it out. That means he hasn't planned for this. Coach Greg, today's video, we're going over Sam's pro debut at the Arnold's, including his weigh-in, his carb up, what he weighed on stage, everything that goes into doing and preparing for a bodybuilding competition.
This has got to be the wildest that my macro count has ever looked. 10,000 freaking calories.
Guys, it's too much. Now, I realize he did great. He looked amazing. But this is very inefficient. It offers the possibility of spilling over, and I don't want you to copy this. 10,000 calories is too much. Now, I realize he's been dieting for 4 months. He's starving. He's craving everything in sight. But when you eat that much food, your muscle glycogen, it can't store all of it. I'm sorry, the maximum that Sam Sulek could be storing at most, given the fact that he's a supreme athlete with 230 pounds of extra lean muscle, at most his muscle glycogen, liver, everything could, and I'm going to round up, it could store 6,000 calories. It's most certainly less than 5,000, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. The most amount of calories that his body could actually store, it's 6,000, and really it's not. I'm counting the fact that he had depleted his muscles of glycogen, that his muscles were bone dry, and so they can supersaturate themselves with glucose and water. What do you think happens to the extra calories? Well, some of them he's going to burn off. His metabolism, the thermic effect of food. And so perhaps he only overate by 1,000 or 2,000 calories, but what happens to those calories? You guessed it, it turns to fat. And so by Sam consuming that many calories and continuing to eat the very next day, of course, he's carbing up the day of the show, some of that is turning to fat. But bigger deal than that is a lot of that is being stored in his organs. When you consume that much food, you're going to get some bloating, some gas. Remember, that's why I said he should be taking Gas-X. And you're going to have some residual food in your intestines. And that's why it's very important the night before the show not to go crazy and start eating things like burgers.
I had a cheeseburger, I had a McDonald's double, and 2 large fries.
Guys, when you eat fat and especially proteins, for example, steaks and so on, those are very slow to digest. It can take 12 to 24 hours for your body to break it down. And so if you're eating a steak, a burger, before bed and thinking, oh, it's going to go in all the right places. No, it's going to literally sit in your stomach and sit in your organs and can essentially distend your stomach. It's a waste. It's not doing anything. And so what you really need to do is avoid the meats, avoid all the protein, and really stick to the carbs.
I'm not waking up this morning feeling like I had a 10,000 calorie cheat day.
And so he doesn't feel like he had a 10,000 calorie cheat day because, well, he's most likely taking diuretics or reducing his water, of which we know that he was. And so he doesn't appear to be spilt over. But trust me, all those extra calories, they are in fact a waste. Now, he's coaching himself. He doesn't realize that this isn't good, but of course he can make improvements for next time.
Thursday was my refueling the gas tank. Right, I feel like I'm a mile away from the gas station, and the engine started sputtering in the sense of how low on carbs I was.
And so on Sam's gasoline analogy, essentially it was sputtering, it was running on fumes getting to the gas station. And so it could hold more gas than ever before, but a lot of that gas was literally spilling over the car and going down onto the floor, and that is not what we want. And so Sam could have had just as good, or I'd say better results by eating, let's say, 8,000 calories and avoiding the cheeseburger and double-double.
Yesterday was the brunt of it, and then today is more like just eating enough to stay full, maybe get a little fuller before going on stage, especially for finals.
And so with the car analogy, the car is now full of gas, but he's continuing to drive a little bit, and so he needs to keep it topped off. He wants his fuel at 100%, but if he consumes too much, it spills over, ruins his look, and it is in fact going to turn to body fat.
And we'll see what happens. But let's head to tan number 3.
Now, given the fact that Sam wanted to consume 10,000 calories and that he was in fact 3 pounds under his weight class, what Sam should be doing for his next competition is he should be carbing up sooner. If you stretch out the 10,000 calories over a longer period of time, it'll allow the muscles to get bigger and harder and fuller than ever. Many athletes, they start carbing up for 2 or 3 days before the competition. Not many can do it in one, it's possible, but why not increase the length of the carb up? Rather than starting to carb up at, let's say, 12 after weighing in, if you already know that you're 3 pounds under the weight class, why not carb up first thing in the morning? You wake up at 6, that gives you 6 extra hours. You can then consume perhaps some oatmeal, some rice, get in some extra calories, and prevent the need from having to eat 10,000 calories slammed in all at once. When in doubt, spread it out. It's better to eat several different meals throughout the day than to try to cram all of it into one giant meal.
I was watching this, it was some bodybuilder podcast, and this older, like, men's physique dude was saying, you gotta use dish soap. I'm like, now that I think about it, that actually makes a lot of sense.
And so you can see how rumors spread. He watched a podcast of some old guy who would use dish soap to wash off his skin. And so Sam decided to use dish soap. I'm certain that the stocks of Dawn is going through the roof right now, as every bodybuilder watching this is thinking, I have to use dish soap to scrub off of my skin. Guys, I've competed 59 times and I've never used dish soap, and I've always had a proper tan. One of the best tans going of great skin. If you want to have very good skin come showtime, it's important to exfoliate. That's where you use one of those loofah sponges, and it's kind of a little bit scrapey, and it scrapes off the dead skin. You don't need to start using dish detergent. If dish detergent were that good, well, wouldn't we be washing our skin with dish detergent every single day? I mean, if it's so good to clean your body that you need to use it for bodybuilding prep, then why wouldn't you use it every single day? And so I do believe that many people are now going to experiment with this, but remember, you don't need that. We've been using spray tans for years. I was doing this in the 1990s, and I'm telling you, you don't need dish detergent, but if you want to use it, be my guest. But what's more important is getting a good loofah. Next in line of importance after having a proper tan is getting Turk Builder Max as well as GO2 Max when preparing for your bodybuilding competition. You want the energy to get through your cardio as well as the increased muscle mass recovery and so on. These are your go-to staples for any bodybuilding prep, especially if you're natural. If you're on performance enhancing drugs and you're using all the various peptides and so on, perhaps you don't need this. It's still going to make a difference in my opinion, but to each his own. Get what you want. Remember, if you're interested in this, of course, you can get code Greg or code unemployed. Code unemployed, if you're watching this on a friggin' Tuesday, then most likely you're unemployed. And so code unemployed, Coach Greg giving you 20% off for those of you who are unemployed. And if you're getting the testosterone, the HRT and clomiphene, Viagra, Cialis, the list goes on. Of course, you're going to AlgoRx, you're getting your blood work done. The doctors are prescribing it legally. Code Greg for 10% off.
There's no routine, but we kind of get like 30 seconds of individual posing. So I think I might hit some shit like, I'll figure it out.
And so you see how he says, I think I'm going to hit these poses. I think I'll figure it out. That means he hasn't planned for this. And with the amount of time, hours, adding up to multiple days that he's put into his physique, all he needed to do was perhaps spend 5% more time on his posing. Reduce his time on the bike. He was doing about an hour and a half cardio on the bike every single day. Take out 5 minutes. And for 5 of those minutes each and every day, work on your routine. Practice the transitions. Does he want to flow? Does he want to pose? He can practice as he's posing. And so if he were to add 5 minutes a day to his posing in a month, that would be 150 minutes. This is the amount of cardio that you need to be doing each and every week as a minimum. And so for Sam, he needs to add in at least 150 minutes of posing, perhaps each and every week for now. And if he can do that until showtime, he will make a night and day difference when he's competing at the Arnold's UK. And so you can see Sam pantless in his underwear in the hotel room. Thankfully, he's not in the Larry Wheels cuck couch. He's in an actual chair and he's ready. You can see it. Vascularity, the quads, the striations when he flexes. And so Sam is ready to get up on stage.
Just the fact that you know you're about to go on stage, even if you didn't do any pump work at all, you might get residually pumped.
And so Sam is describing the fact he doesn't need caffeine. He's so amped up, the dopamine, the adrenaline from getting excited to be up on stage. And so he's avoiding the caffeine, and caffeine can in fact vasoconstrict. It means it makes your veins a little bit smaller, which is the opposite of what you're wanting. And so what I would suggest for Sam, perhaps he's not taking this already, is to add in some Cialis. 10 or 20 milligrams can make a night and day difference in your vascularity. In particular, when you're as lean as sand and you're competing, if you take Cialis, you get up on stage, you can see all the striations in the arms, the quads, the veins, the chest, and that can make a night and day difference. Now, if you are in fact struggling with vascularity in the downstairs, of course, you can go to HCLT supplements and pick up Harder Than Last Time, or you can go to Algo RX, where you can get prescription Cialis. Code Greg for the discount.
So I got to figure out what I want to pump up. Do I pump up just my shoulders? I'm probably going to get some chest.
You should know exactly what you're going to be pumping up before you start pumping up. You're going to want to pump up your upper body, your back, your chest, your arms, and most certainly your shoulders, but not so much your triceps and most certainly not your abs. Don't sit there and do a bunch of sit-ups and don't think that you need to pump up your triceps. If you have cross-striated triceps, of which Coach Greg does not, you're going to see them. Your legs, the cross striations, you're going to see them. You don't need to pump up these things. But the pecs, and in particular the shoulders and your lats, if you pump up those, you're going to look larger than life. Remember, it's all about the illusion. The wider the shoulders, the smaller the waist. He's in classic physique. But you do want to show the striations. And so although it perhaps would make his legs look a little bit bigger to pump them up, they wouldn't be as bone dry, as crispy, and that is what you need.
So I'm walking on stage at a 230.
And so Sam, he weighed in at 224 pounds. The weight cap is 227. He managed to carb his way all the way up to 230. That's 6 extra pounds. And so for every 1 gram of carb, you're going to store 3 grams of water. And so if we were to do the quick math, we can see that it's only perhaps 700 grams of carbs that are actually in his muscles, far lower than the 10,000 calories he consumed, or perhaps the 6,000 calories that were physically, humanly possible that he might have stored. To keep it simple, he's got about 1.5 pounds of carbs in his muscle combined with 4.5 pounds of water. That would make about 6 total pounds, of which he was able to go from 224 to 230. He consumed 10,000 calories, hoping to get his weight up to 235. But remember, the human body can only store so many carbs, despite the fact that he was as dry as a bone, that his gasoline tank was running on fumes. All those extra calories, it didn't even make a dent. There was no point. What could your body do? It has no choice but to convert those extra calories into fat. And so he was able to get his weight up to 230, 235. That would have been 11 extra pounds. This is not realistic. This is classic physique. This is not open bodybuilding. In open bodybuilding, sometimes they don't care about the waist being a little bit distended. And so they can carb up with extra calories, extra water than last time. But for Sam, it's not going to happen. Now, he is a full 6 pounds bigger than he was last year. And so after all of his hard work over the entirety of the year, we know that he has put on 6 hard-earned pounds of muscle. You might be thinking, only 6? 6 is a lot. When you're already a pro, to then add in 6 additional pounds, that makes a significant difference. And so if Sam can add in 6 more pounds for next year, and yet again make the weight class and compete at even bigger than 230, he will look significantly improved. And if you add in more quality posing, 5 minutes a day all year, 150 minutes a month, I guarantee, my friends, he will look significantly better.
What's going on, Logan?
Good job.
How you feeling?
Good job. How did you feel there?
Bigger than last time.
Bigger than last time.
And so in the words of Coach Greg, he's bigger than last time.
But when you did your individual, because you were showing the Christmas tree so much, you let off the glutes a little bit.
And so exactly as I'd said in my description the day before, he was showing off the Christmas tree, the back, it was looking stupendous, but he was relaxing the glutes. He had forgotten to pose the lower half. When you're posing, you always pose from the ground up. You start with the legs and you work your way up. That way you don't forget. You plant your feet, you flex the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, and you work your way up to the upper body, never the other way around.
I got to get a pump. So I've got some time. It's 7 o'clock now. Classic guys don't go up until 8.
And so just like pre-pump, he's going to be taking a pump product to get his vascularity out even more full than last time, approximately 30 to 45 minutes before before you go on stage. That, along with a little bit of water, perhaps 4 ounces, to allow yourself to get that extra last bit of fullness when you pump up. Now, prior to this, I would suggest at least 1 to 2 hours before. That is when you would take your Cialis. Now, remember, only do so with the advice and consent from your doctor, but I'm pretty sure that these guys are taking things that their doctors perhaps won't approve. And so if you think that Cialis is going to make or break your health, and so if you're concerned about me suggesting that they could use Cialis, remember, these guys are taking Tren, and so in comparison, I do believe that Cialis is not that big of a deal. But of course, if you're interested in actual Cialis, pharmaceutical prescribed by a doctor, Algor RX, code Greg.
Is this tingle-free or, yeah, just straight up non-stim?
And so when he says tingle-free, he's asking if it contains beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is not going to help you look better on stage, but it is going to help you in your performance when you're training in the gym, doing cardio, longer sets, and so on. And so if you're interested in beta-alanine, you can, of course, get it on its own. The Blue Lobster. This is what you need. And so you can see as he's doing his routine, Arnold Schwarzenegger himself taking a video of his routine. Arnold excited to see Sam. They've trained together and so on. And the Arnold Classic was so big this year that they literally had to shut part of it down. 100,000 people were attending. I couldn't believe it. Before 10, only the VIPs could go in. And I'm thinking, how are there this many people already? And so if you didn't make it there by 9, then what even are you doing? You need to get there on time. If you're trying to go to the Arnolds, don't wait. Don't say, I'm going to show up. You quit your job. You say you're unemployed and you show up there on Friday. On Friday, you can move around a little bit more. You could perhaps even run into Sam. You can run into myself. The days following this, guys, it is more busy than ever, in particular in the afternoon. One other suggestion, and remember, please don't say I'm hating on Sam. I'm doing this to try to help him. He needs to get a haircut. I'm sorry, if Sam wants to be an elite level bodybuilder, not just the top 8, but perhaps the top 5, when you cut your hair like a Coach Greg hairstyle, you want to get dripped out, you want to have shorter hair than ever. The smaller your head becomes, the bigger your shoulders, the bigger your body. It's kind of like when you're on steroids and it shrinks the size of your balls, it makes the dick look bigger. When you're a bodybuilder and you shave your head or you get a very trimmed up haircut, everything looks bigger. And so when I look at Sam, I'm thinking, it's not happening. It's not working. And so please don't tell me I'm a hater. He can get the haircut that he wants, but I'm telling you, if Sam comes up on stage with a fresh haircut versus his identical twin looking like that, the fresh haircut wins every single time. Shave the stash, shave the hair, get rid of it, shorter hair than ever. He's going to look that much bigger. And you know it.
So I'm somewhere between that bottom 10th and 7th.
And so he's somewhere between 7th and 10th. He simply just had to message Coach Greg and said, hey, what place am I going to get? Sam, you're in 8th. Keep it simple. Why wonder when you can just simply ask Coach Greg? Remember, I used to be a judge, and perhaps next year they'll get Coach Greg on the live stream showing you exactly what's going down, explaining in detail who brought it, who nailed it, who's a little bit off, what places are they going to get. Hopefully they can add in Coach Greg next year to become a better commentator than last time. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo RX that is, and don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. Don't forget, if you're interested in being coached by myself or myself and my team, you can click the link, you get sponsored. Click the link, and if you want to carry the supplements in your stores and or gym, there's a link for that as well. And until next time, I am out.